Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan and today we are going to have a look at a free hit team for Gameweek 18. I know a lot of you guys are thinking about playing that free hit chip this week. If you've got a lot of Man City and Brentford players in particular, it could be an interesting one. I'm not free hitting personally, but looking at some of these players, I can definitely see the appeal. So let's show you this team and maybe you can get some inspiration whether you are free hitting or just looking for the best players for Gameweek 18. Let's have a look. But before we do, make sure you like, do subscribe. Let's see the team. Okay, so I haven't actually spent all of the budget on this one. When you're not picking Erling Haaland, you do find yourself with quite a lot of money in the bank. So, there's definitely some room to play around with this team. Let me start off in goal. We have got Leno. So, I'd say Leno is the top goalkeeper to go for this week. Fulham have been able to keep some clean sheets recently, and Leno is obviously a top goalkeeper who does pick up a lot of saves and often bonus points as well if he does make saves and the score lines are low. Now, Burnley at home is a very good fixture. We're talking about one of the weakest attacks in the league, really. So, you would hope a clean sheet here would happen. I think in general, Leno is probably the goalkeeper I would be buying now. If I could buy any goalkeeper in the game, it would be between Dubravka and Leno, I think, are the two best goalkeepers. So, one to keep an eye on, not just for this week, but for everyone going forward as well. Into defence, we're going to start off with Trippier against Luton Town. I think this really is a time, if you haven't got Trippier in your team right now, to get him back into the team. Now he has served his suspension in game week 17. So, a nice fixture for him. He hasn't been in the best of form recently, but hopefully he'll get back to his best with Newcastle finally getting more of their players back from injury, which is hopefully going to help their chances of clean sheets. We've already seen a clean sheet in game week 17, so maybe that can continue. He'll be on set pieces, he'll be creating, and he'll be picking up bonus points whether he gets an assist or not, because he's just such a beast when it comes to that bonus point system. So a real strong player for the game week. Next up, Pedro Porro, another player I think everyone can own, whether you're free hitting or not. A very sensible player to bring in. Finally getting a clean sheet for Spurs yesterday. No, not yesterday. On Friday it was. I have to remember that. Just a really solid player. We can see how creative he is. So he's really one of those defenders who you're not just relying on clean sheets from. You've also got really good chances of those attacking returns. He really is, in many ways, kind of like the fifth attacker of the Spurs setup. So it's basically an attacker who is listed as a defender in many ways. So very nice. Love him. Set pieces, crosses, big long passes into the box. He's doing everything that we love in FPL at the moment. We've got Pau Torres up next. He's against Sheffield United at home. This is a really strong fixture, of course. We know they're one of the weaker teams. In fact, we do have a few top teams playing against some of the weaker teams. We've got Newcastle against Luton, and we've got Aston Villa against Sheffield United. And I think these are probably the two big opportunities of the week. So I would try and get one Aston Villa defender in if you're free hitting. And even if you're not free hitting, Aston Villa have shown that they are a strong defence as well. So it definitely is a play you could go for. Pau Torres at 4.7, Ezri Konsa at 4.5, both great picks. We know they're pretty much nailed on as well, so you are going to be picking up some points if you do go for these kind of guys. It seems pretty clear. And one more thing about Pau Torres, his attacking threat, his set piece threat is actually there, and we've seen a lot this season that Sheffield United do concede a lot of chances from those set pieces. So if corners are coming in, if crosses are coming in from kind of indirect free kicks, then we are going to see Pau Torres as a target man, possibly chancing it to see if he can get a goal in this game. It could definitely happen. We've seen it many times before with centre-backs picking up points against Sheffield United. Pau Torres would be the guy I would be targeting in defence to be the next big defender to score big against Sheffield United. Into midfield, we have got Mo Salah against Arsenal, and I know it's not an ideal fixture, it's not perfect, but this is Salah we're talking about. Even against the toughest opponents, the best players will score FPL points, and you do definitely back a Salah against Arsenal more than you would do maybe another midfielder who has maybe a slightly better fixture but is a weaker player. Salah, he's just a very reliable player, and if we're going to see goals in this Arsenal versus Liverpool game, you do imagine it would be a kind of a Salah game. Salah does suit a fixture like this. It's going to be a fixture that Liverpool are going to depend more on Salah to get any points from this game, and they definitely could do it, but Salah is going to be crucial to that. So an interesting one. I wouldn't go too hard on the Liverpool players for this game week if you're free hitting, and even if you're not free hitting, you maybe even be able to consider selling some Liverpool players, because we don't really need to be too invested in this Liverpool-Arsenal game. It's the tough one. It's really one of those banana skin fixtures that might affect a lot of us in FPL. Next up, we got Heung-min Son. I'm not sure this fixture against Everton is amazing because they are keeping so many clean sheets at the moment. It really is very impressive. But Son is just, again, such a phenomenal player that you back him against anyone. Now, it didn't quite come off against Nottingham Forest, but there were a few chances for him to get involved. He was in the right places. I do worry a little bit whether him playing out on the left-hand side and Richarlison through the middle might impact Son a little bit, particularly in these kinds of games, like against Everton, for example. But in general, I still would place my faith in Son to do something because the top players will score against anyone. We see that time and time again, so pick him regardless of the fixture. My next pick is going to be Bowen, a player in form. You know, we obviously seen him score in game week 17. Manchester United, yes, they managed to draw 0-0 against Liverpool, which I was kind of surprised by. I really thought that Liverpool would be able to put up a good performance there, but it didn't really happen, did it? But in another game, Manchester United may be playing a little bit more attacking, perhaps, although we haven't seen too much of that recently, but that might kind of give opportunities for West Ham to do their classic counter-attacks, and Bowen is definitely the kind of guy who is in form. His finishing is decent, you know, he's always in the right positions at the right time, and he is going to get opportunities in any game, so a real solid FPL pick. And against Manchester United, we've seen United concede quite a few goals, you know, against certain teams like Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago. They certainly concede a lot of chances. It's just going to depend on whether the West Ham guys can finish off those chances, and hopefully they will be able to do that, including Bowen. Next up, Gordon. We had a little bit of an injury scare this week for him. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to play or not, but it turns out he's fine. He's good to go, which is very nice. We've got this fixture against Luton. Another big game, like I said, we need to be targeting this Newcastle versus Luton game. Definitely want to be going in on those Newcastle players. So therefore, Gordon, probably the most reliable attacking threat from Newcastle at the moment. It makes a lot of sense to go for him in this really nice fixture. So definitely Gordon. If you sold him last game week, I would even consider bringing him back in this week. If you're on a free hit, he makes my free hit team pretty much all of the time right now. But we've got one more midfielder, and this one is probably a bit of a controversial one, and I'm not sure if you guys are going to agree on this one or not, but it is Douglas Luiz, who I think obviously we know he is not going to be a player who is necessarily a great pick to own long term, but for this Sheffield United fixture, I've already mentioned the set pieces that Sheffield United are weak from. Douglas Luiz is the set piece taker. He's going to be back from his suspension, so a little bit of rest there for him as well. On set pieces, on penalties, there are a couple of avenues for him to get points this game week, more so than usual. So whereas I usually would say Douglas Luiz is not really a player I would be too interested in, he's okay, but don't love him. In a fixture like this, and a fixture that suits set piece takers like this one does, then Douglas Luiz maybe could be the man to do the business. But let me know what you think about that one, guys. I'm not 100% convinced by this one. I do think if you are on a free hit, you may have opportunities to go for, you know, if you fancy Saka against Liverpool, for example, I think that's an okay pick. There's probably a few other midfielders, but when I'm looking at kind of specifically targeting game week 18, I don't mind Douglas Luiz. I kind of fancy him a little bit as an outside pick. Would I be picking him if I wasn't on a free hit? Well, probably not. So, yeah, for free hitters, Douglas Luiz, maybe worth a punt. If not, I would probably leave him, to be honest. Moving up front, Ollie Watkins. Yeah, got to go for Ollie Watkins, haven't we? Another goal in game week 17. What a guy, what a man. And now he's got Sheffield United at home, which is a great fixture for our in-form Aston Villa team that just keep doing it at the moment. Are they title contenders now? I don't know. Let me know what you think about that one as well, guys. But I definitely think that Watkins is just such a reliable pick. It's such a good fixture. It's a home fixture as well. We know what Aston Villa are like at home. They just are a different beast. They're a different animal. This is the perfect fixture, really, for an Ollie Watkins. It really is. So, yeah, I would say he's one of the priority transfers, no matter who you are. If you don't have Watkins in your team right now, I know a lot of you guys do, but if you don't, I would bring him in. And if you're on free hit, there's no way you leave him out this week. No way, Jose. And finally, I'm going to go for Callum Wilson. But what I really mean here is whichever Newcastle striker is going to be starting. Now, right now, I would say that the chances are it's probably going to be Wilson. We've heard a little bit more about the Isak situation. Apparently, he has been carrying an injury for quite some time now, for the last 4 or 5 game weeks, or 4 or 5 games at least. So, is it that Isak is going to be rested a little bit more? Last game, he was rested. This game week, is Isak going to come back in, or does he need a little bit more rest to kind of help, recover a little bit more? Is he going to be rested in the midweek League Cup game? I'm not sure. So I would keep an eye on that, see who gets the most minutes in the League Cup midweek game. Let's see if Wilson plays again in the League Cup and Isak is on the bench, for example, then at that point, I would probably say, okay, maybe it's Isak who we actually want. But right now, I'm just pretty much guessing, but maybe Isak plays the midweek to give Wilson a little bit of rest, because we don't want to be giving Wilson too much game time because he is going to get injured again. We know that's happened time and time again, and Wilson has played, considering he's a player who's just come back from injury, he has played a lot of football recently, a lot of football. So I would be surprised if unless the Isak situation is kind of he still needs a little bit more rest, I would be surprised to see Wilson play, you know, midweek and then again in game week 18. But right now, I would say maybe Isak starts midweek or Wilson plays limited minutes midweek and then Wilson is back in for game week 18. Let's see what happens there. I'm not exactly sure, but as I say, whichever forward out of Isak and Wilson is more likely to play by the time we get to the Game Week 18 deadline, he would be the player I would go for my Game Week 18 free hit team. So, yeah, going to be on penalties, going to be the main central striker against Luton Town. We know Luton, you know, they have conceded goals in the past. We know they are prone to conceding goals, and I think Newcastle are going to win this game comfortably. I think there's going to be clean sheets to be had. I think there's going to be attacking returns to be had, and Wilson, whenever he plays, he's just a super reliable player, isn't he? We did say the same thing about Isak, however, but nah, maybe he's been carrying an injury and that's kind of affected his output a little bit there. So yeah, that is the starting 11 that I would go for a free hit team at time of recording. On the bench, I've got Matthews, 3.9 million goalkeeper for Crystal Palace. He seems to be like the temporary goalkeeper whilst Johnston and Henderson are injured. I'm not sure if Henderson is going to be back by game week 18 or not, but hey, it's a nice 3.9 backup goalkeeper to have if you're free hitting. We've got Cunha on the bench here, just as a cheap-ish forward to cover and come in just in case there is any surprise rotation. Believe me, we have seen a lot of surprise rotation recently, haven't we? So maybe we are going to see, a situation where on a free hit, it's good to have one okay player. And Cunha has definitely been consistent recently. He's up against Chelsea. I've got Robinson here as a backup defender. Fulham left back playing against Burnley. His attacking output is a little bit there. But yeah, obviously, again, Fulham, good opportunity for a clean sheet, and they have been picking up clean sheet points recently as well. And Malo Gusto, who I am hoping is going to be back in the Chelsea team from game week 18. I think that could happen. So Gusto could be an interesting little pick as well. Pretty cheap there at 4.1 million, that kind of price range. Yeah, could be a decent little pick there. So there you go, guys. That is what I would go for a free hit team for game week 18 if I were to free hit. Now, I'm not free hitting, but might help some of you guys, not just for free hitters, but also, if you just want to bring in players and you just want to get the best players who will score the most points in Game Week 18. Now, we need to put a captain's armband on someone, so we're going to stick that captain's armband on Watkins. Now, previously, I would have said the captain's armband should go on Son. Like, I've got both Son and Watkins in my FPL team, and I've been trying to figure out which is the captain to go for. Right now, I know we've got until Thursday to make this decision, but right now, I'm on Watkins. He's in good form at the moment. It's a game against Sheffield United. It's a home game. They could go off. Aston Villa really could go off. This could be one of those like crazy 4-5-0 games, and we could see Watkins get 2 or 3 attacking returns in this game. Whereas by Son, yes, I do like Son, and we're going to put the vice captain on Son, by the way, guys. I do like Son for this fixture. I like him for any fixture, but can I see a mega haul? Can I see 2-3 goals scored by Spurs? Not really. Not against Everton at this moment because of the form that Everton are in. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. But I think I would go for Watkins captain. I would be kind of half tempted to go maybe towards some of the Newcastle players. Do I quite trust a Gordon for a captaincy or a vice captaincy? Probably not. Wilson, that the risk of rotation and minutes is always going to be there, so that's a worry. Trippier, I think, is an interesting captain shout. It's an interesting differential captain shout, and I'm kind of interested to see what the 100 experts say on captaincy this week, because maybe Trippier gets a little outside shout there. But again, captaining defenders, it's often a lot of risk there. You concede 1 goal and suddenly things don't look as good. So yeah, like I said, guys, we are going to go for Watkins as a captain and Son for the vice captain for now, but I am open to changing my mind on this one. So once again, I know I'm asking you guys a lot of questions today, but I would be interested to hear, who is your favourite captain pick for this week? Would you even consider Salah against Arsenal? I'm not really feeling that one personally, but it's definitely something that you can consider. Salah has done well against Arsenal in the past, but maybe that Manchester United game has just put me off the Salah captaincy just a little bit. So there you go, guys. That is my free hit team for Game Week 18, and yeah, I hope you like it. Thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure you do drop a like before you disappear. Do subscribe if you are new around here as well. We're going to try and do at least a decent amount of videos before the Thursday deadline, but it won't be the full. We won't have the full array of videos this week, unfortunately. Just not enough time. But I'll hopefully see a few of you guys on the stream tomorrow. We'll do our usual Monday stream, strategy stream. So hopefully see you then. But until then, thank you so much for watching once again, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.